You know, in the world of construction, you're dealing with a ton of paperwork. But some of it is absolutely critical. The very foundation of a safe and successful project. Today, we're going to demystify one of the big ones, the Work Site Notification, or WSN for short.
Okay, picture this. You're ready to kick off a huge construction project. You've got the crew, the gear, the blueprints, everything's lined up. But how do you make absolutely sure that day one is safe and, just as importantly, legal? That's the big question, right?
Well, the answer is simpler than you might think. You file a flight plan. And yeah, we're going to stick with that analogy because it's perfect. Think of a work site notification as the official flight plan for your entire construction project. It's the document that tells everyone, hey, we've planned this journey, we've looked at the risks, and we are absolutely ready for a safe takeoff.
So, here's what we're going to cover. First up, what even is a WSN? Then, why it matters so much. We'll walk through the 4-step process, give you a handy checklist, and finally talk about the consequences and what's next for this whole system.
All right, let's dive right in. First things first, what exactly is a worksite notification?
So at its heart, a WSN is a formal, documented notification. This isn't just a quick email or a memo, okay? It's an official paper you send to a regulatory authority. Think the Department of Labor or your local occupational safety office. It basically lays out the who, what, where, and when of your project, with a huge emphasis on how you're going to keep everyone safe.
And here's the thing, it's not just a one-and-done deal. There are actually 3 main types. The first is the pre-commencement notification. That's your initial flight plan. Then you've got the change notification. This is what you file if, say, the flight path changes mid-air, maybe a new contractor joins or the scope of the project gets bigger. And last but not least, the completion notification. That's how you officially land the plane and close out the project on the books.
Okay, so now we know what it is. But the real question is, why should you care? Why does this matter so much? Let's get into the real stakes here.
This is really where the rubber meets the road. The WSN isn't just about one thing. It's about covering all your bases. From a legal standpoint, it's your best defense against fines and work stoppages. For safety, it's what lets the authorities check your plans and even pop in for inspections. In terms of risk management, it gets everyone on the same page. And finally, it's just solid documentation, a clear, official record of who's in charge. It's your shield and your blueprint, all rolled into one.
And believe me, the difference it makes is night and day. A project that's compliant, it's set up to be safe, orderly, and stay on schedule. But a non-compliant project, oof, that's a huge gamble. You're not just looking at a mess. You're looking at a site that could be dangerous, that's almost guaranteed to have delays, and it's just a sitting duck for fines, and the big one, a complete halt to all work. Okay, I think we've established it's a big deal. You're on board. But how do you actually do it? Let's walk through the 4-step action plan to get your WSN filed correctly.
The good news is, the process is pretty straightforward. First, you prepare the notification. This is usually done by the main contractor or the client, often on a specific form they give you. Second, you submit that form to the local Occupational Safety and Health Department. Third, you might have a validation period, especially if it's a high-risk job. And fourth, and this is key, you've got to display a copy of the notification somewhere prominent on site. Simple, right? But you can't skip a single step.
And speaking of that validation step, here's a number you really need to burn into your brain. 14. For high-risk projects, we're talking work near major utilities, that kind of thing. The authorities can take up to 14 working days to review your submission. The takeaway here is simple. Plan ahead. You can't just file this the day before you want to start digging.
Okay, so what exactly do you need to gather to assemble this flight plan? Let's run through a quick checklist so you know what you're up against. Think of this as your pre-flight checklist. You're going to need your site details. The address, what exactly you're building, then your personnel and contractors, who's the owner, who's the main contractor, all their contact info. Super important is the safety data. Who are the designated safety and health coordinators by name? You'll also need the project timeline. When does it start, how long will it take, and what's the max number of workers on site? For bigger jobs, you might need technical documentation, like drawings or risk assessments. And sometimes you might need other approval documents, like a letter explaining any delays. Get all the stuff together, and you're ready to go.
All right, for our last section, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. What happens when this goes wrong? And maybe more excitingly, how is technology changing this entire game?
This is the one thing every project manager has nightmares about. Forget fines for a second. The most immediate, the most expensive consequence is a complete work stoppage. everything grinds to a halt. The machines go quiet, the crew goes home, and the money just bleeds out.
And I'm not just being dramatic, that's the reality. This quote from official guidance says it all. Failure to submit a WSN can lead to prosecution, fines, and the halting of construction work. It's spelled out in black and white. The risk of cutting this corner is just, it's not worth it. Not by a long shot. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. The really cool part is that the Wason process itself is evolving. We're moving away from dusty old paper forms. Technology is turning this whole thing from a static one-time notice into a dynamic real-time alert system.
So you can see the progression here, right? We went from manual paperwork to digital submissions, which was a nice step. But the real game changer is what's happening now. Real-time IoT alerts. IoT, the Internet of Things. I mean, think about it. Sensors right there on the job site that can automatically detect a hazard and send an instant alert to the foreman's phone. All of a sudden, that WSN isn't just a piece of paper you filed weeks ago. It's the foundation for a living, breathing safety system that's active 24/7. This is shifting us from reactive reporting to proactive, data-driven prevention.
So let's bring it all home. The worksite notification isn't just another form to fill out. It's your project's official flight plan. It's what ensures safety, guarantees compliance, and paves the way for a smooth journey from foundation to finish. And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. Is your project's flight plan ready for takeoff?